were
You were
playing.
surprisingly athletic. I didn't know you were a college athlete. But I remember we played and you were barefoot. And bro, I remember you were moving, you had good agility, you were moving really well, barefooted. I was very surprised. Because I remember that day, we were gonna put $1,000 on that basketball game.
Yeah.
And I had to go, I went and bought shoes, I took it pretty seriously. I lost, it was, we were going to 15, I lost, it was 14 to 15 or 13 to 15. And it was unfortunate. I lost it, shot like an NBA three from all the way back there and you hit it. And it was rough, but it's okay, you know?
Yeah, I felt a piece of me feels like, man, I should have, when I don't know if it was like an open challenge that was for I should have stepped up to the plate for it. But then at the same time, I had pulled up, the only shoes that I was wearing, I had white Uptown. So since I was a kid, I'm like, I can't play in my white up. So
I wanted to do it, but.
By the time we started playing like the actual game and we did the full court 5-on-5, I'm like, yo, you know what? I'll play barefoot.
It was you know what it was on my part too? The guy I played is really dorky guy. I was like, knowing me, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna kick this guy's ass, right? And I underestimated him. I made a mistake by doing that. Because he didn't give off the perception of being good at basketball.
Right.
I thought he was gonna be a scrub. I thought he was good, but he was actually, turns out he played like for college, and he was pretty good. You know?
Yeah, I think he played high school, whatever the case was, shooter. Because I think that's the most difficult thing, is when you play against a shooter, you kind of have to be up in their face. But then if you're a good shooter, you're in a situation where no matter whether there be a contest or no contest, you still got a chance of putting it in the basket.
Well, I think what happened is he was shooting from like really like 30-footers like Steph Curry.
Right.
And I was like, go ahead, shoot, and he was making them. Yeah. And it was the same thing here when we were playing that basketball game. We were playing, he was beating me like 8-0. And then I started talking shit, and I think it rattled him a little bit because I started talking shit, I started playing really aggressive.
Throw somebody off their game.
Pushing him around, and it worked because then I caught up and I took the lead for a little bit, and then eventually he made that NBA three to seal the deal. But it was a interesting game. It was very fun.
Do you find yourself operating at your highest level when you're in a competitive situation?
Yeah, I was telling him, like, he said, are you motivated by consequence? Like, most people are motivated by consequence, right? Rents due. If I don't, I get evicted. So what? They work a little bit harder to make sure they pay the rent. I'm not motivated by consequence because nothing really scares me. I'm motivated by competition. Okay. So if somebody is, like, I'm a big shit talker. If I play sports, I'll talk shit, I'll run my mouth. Doesn't matter what it is. If I'm boxing, I'm the type to smile and talk shit while I box. I'm not like a quiet competitor. I think it makes me better when I talk, you know?
Fair enough. I'm almost, I need the competition, but I'm not a trash talker in the conventional way. Okay. Like anytime that I play, like whether I'm playing basketball somewhere or if I'm doing something, I'll never like talk trash in the conventional way. It'll be like, all right, I'll big you up in the midst of us doing, because it throws the person off. Right. So it's a weird way of trying to get in somebody's head. But for me, my most optimal is when I'm doing something and I know somebody else is, we're going for the same, goal.
You know what it is? I'm selective with my trash talk. I think you got to figure out what type of beast the person is. Because some people, you trash talk them, they get better. Right. And that dog in them comes out, and then you've lowered your chances. But then some people, you can intimidate them. And then some people, the trash talk is neutral. But I find myself, if I'm playing someone, I know they're going to play better. If I talk shit, I'll keep my mouth shut. I'll play very quietly. Or I'll do what you do. I'll be very nice. I'm like, oh, good shot. Or like, I'll be nice to them so the dog doesn't come out. Right. But if there's someone that's like, I know I can rattle them, I'm talking shit all day.
Right, because you have to figure out who is your competition, and then that's how you move accordingly with that. Is there anything that you like silently compete in, like where, for me, going to gym, the Stairmaster, that's it for me. The moment that I get on the Stairmaster, if somebody gets on next to me, whether I'm already going and then they get on, forget the rest of my workout for now. I'm not getting off until you get off. And then once you get off, there were different moments in which somebody would get on, I'd be like 15 minutes in, and at the time, the machine that I was on, it stops at 20, and then you kind of have to start from there again, so it goes up. They got on, they did 30 minutes. I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling petty. I'm gonna do an additional 30 just so I can do my 45, and then I'll add an extra 30 on top of that, just so you know it's a fuck you sort of situation. But it's just one of those weird lunatic things in my mind.
I think that's everyone naturally, right? Like, I think about that a lot. I'm like, yo, if we were in the wild right now, and we're fighting to the death, I'm gonna see who dies first. Right. So I think naturally we do that. I'm not gonna lie, there's been a couple people that broke my soul as far as that stuff goes. Like, I'm a terrible runner, so I'll use that really, like, for competition, I'll use it a lot. But man, like, running is where I'll break easily. Just because running, it's almost like the most mentally exhausting exercise. If it's basketball, I have an objective, score points. Right. And I know once I hit a certain amount of points, we're done. Running, it's almost like you could technically run to a destination, but it's still this like constant pace of, there's no short burst of energy. So I think for me, I'm a sprint and walk, sprint and walk, sprint and walk type guy. I'm not a jogger per se.